Hey buddy, it's Nate Rage! And Spoopy Month may be over, but that doesn't mean I need to stop talking about my favorite shows and movies. So I figured, hey, let's look back at one of my favorite cartoons growing up. Real Monsters. This is one of the cartoons I really loved as a kid. I had the orange Nickelodeon VHS tapes. And let me tell you, looking back at now, it was actually a pretty dark cartoon for a kid's show. There really was no other Nicktoon they had like this back in the day in the 90s. It's probably the creepiest and weirdest Classic Koopa cartoon they ever made. And that's saying a lot. They had some pretty weird things, especially in Rugrats sometimes.
Who's there?
Boo!
Boo-hoo!
What you crying about? I got cake and ice cream down here.
Cake and ice cream? Oh, boy!
Funny enough, there's actually a small little fact about that monster under the bed in Rugrats. That's actually the same voice actor that plays Crumb in this show. Also, this show is probably the only one that benefits from Classic Koopa's weird animation style. Because with their designs, the characters usually look like monsters anyway. Now, I wouldn't call this the best looking Classic Koopa cartoon, but it definitely fits them the most. When the show just has monsters in it, it looks visually great. But when they have a human in it, oh boy. Like this Danny DeVito looking son of a bitch. He's a thing of nightmares. And I mean absolutely no disrespect to the legendary Danny DeVito. He's actually one of my favorite actors.
I'm a man cheetah. You want to do something with this?
But this thing, just make the bad man go away. Let's just not talk about that character anymore. Well, anyway, Real Monsters is a show about three young monsters. Crumb, Ickis, and Oblina. And they go to monster school where they try and scare human beings. And it was a pretty original idea at the time. Until Monsters Inc. and a couple others kind of copied it. Although in this show, the monsters also want to scare adults and teenagers. Because scaring is also their power source. And they will sadly disappear if humans stop believing in them. And going back and watching the show, I still really love it. Even though the characters, well, they're kind of gross. Having characters eating bugs and talking about how stinky they are. Like Oblina, her main gimmick is throwing up stuff, besides her shape changing. After all, the monsters do live in a dump. I don't know, it might be that the animation itself kind of makes it all forgivable because it's pretty awesome. A rough, ugly art style like this kind of really works for the show. Hell, me and my dad used to watch this all the time when I was little. It does have a lot of consistency, but I would not recommend watching the show while you're eating. Though surprisingly, the gross out does work with the setting of the world of the show. One of the main types of humor in this show is actually black comedy, which is actually pretty awesome for a kid's show.
Do you know what will happen if you do not get that manual back?
You're not gonna torture me, are you?
Of course not. That's his job.
Their principal, well, headmaster, the Grumble, is actually another one of my favorite characters in this show. And I'm got a good feeling he's inspired by Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
How about that?
I mean, look at them heels and lipstick, not to mention the British accent.
Groups of humans? Who remembers why humans travel in groups?
Oh. They're sticky.
No.
They're lonely.
I can't say that all these characters deserve the torture they get, but this show is a master of tone. In fact, most of the characters of this show get dunked on a lot, repeatedly. And I can understand why some people wouldn't be into that. But I definitely know, well, most people are kind of turned off by the intro of the show. It's really not the worst theme song I ever heard. In fact, I quite like it. And I don't understand the complaints that it's just, oh, it's just noise. Like, come on, it's ooky, spooky, and creepy. I freaking love it. Now, this isn't exactly the smartest show.
Hey, Brad, what's this piece of crud? Probably my sister's.
But it is pretty creative and pretty funny. Like the crazy stuff they go through and like how foul smelling things are appealing to them. And the show has a lot of awesome ideas that we really haven't seen since in anything else. For example, the monsters even have the power to tickle a human's brain and give them nightmares. For me though, the best thing about the show is the characters. Like the main three, they have a very good dynamic between each other. They have a very believable friendship, and they really seem to care about each other. And I love the outlandish scenarios they always get into. Like trying to scare a little girl on a plane. I'm surprised they didn't do a Twilight Zone parody. That'd have been awesome. Especially since Ickis looks like a gremlin, and he was on the wing of a plane. And while I'm mentioning Ickis, he's actually my favorite character out of the three. His special power is that his eyes fill up with blood. Yes, blood. And then turns into a giant hulking monster. Which usually only happens when he's mad, so I guess that's a little Hulk reference maybe? Let's talk about Oblina for a second. She's probably my second favorite out of the three main ones. She's really funny and sassy, and besides her gut showing power, I love her shape changing power. She is pretty awesome. And last but not least, out of the three main monsters is Crumb. I also too love Crumb. He is very awesome in his own right. His down-to-earth personality really sets him apart from the pack. And his voice actor really helps his character a lot.
I gotta go check on something. I'll catch up with you guys later.
Sadly though, his voice actor hasn't really done much else besides what I said about him being in Rugrats for like a little tiny bit. I actually like David Eccles' voice, and I really wish he would be in more cartoons. He doesn't even have a full Wikipedia page. And you know what? I can't help myself. Let's talk about the Grumble just a little bit more before my review's over. He's just so delightfully sadistic.
Was all you came up with?
He's probably the best evil teacher I've ever seen in any cartoon. And yes, I still wish he was played by Tim Curry. That just would have, well, it would have brought it all together. His mannerisms and his voice really sells the character and makes him really awesome. And the crap that he gives the main three monsters really enhances the show. And I gotta say, the monster designs in the show are just freaking amazing. I think that's one of the reasons I loved this show growing up so damn much. The monsters in the show just look otherworldly, like an H.P. Lovecraft creation. Even Ickis, who for some reason always gets confused for a rabbit by people, looks like some weird creature that would just come out of your wildest imagination. I guess the title of the show, Real Monsters, really fits because these look like the way monsters would probably really look like. You really won't see this in any other show or cartoon. Well, maybe the Beetlejuice cartoon, but I'll review that some other time.
Rags, hair, and just about anything in this crazy netherworld of ours. Bone, bone.
Now, would I recommend this show for you? Real Monsters? Hell yes, I would. Now, the show might not be for everybody. It does have a lot of gross out humor. It's a very dark show. The closest comparison I could probably think of is Billy and Mandy and the Mater Zim. And if you love those shows, it's safe to say you'd love this show too. So if you want, go check it out. I'm not exactly sure where it's at streaming online. Maybe Netflix? Just go look and find it. You will not regret it, trust me. If you like this review, could you do me a favor and please subscribe and share this video around to all your friends and family? And if you will, also hit the little bell icon because YouTube doesn't like to tell you when I release a new video. And also, if you would, could you please subscribe to my Patreon? I could really use the money so I can put it back into YouTube and make even better videos. Until next time, everybody, love ya, peace.